Well, good morning and welcome to this devotion on Wednesday. See what's today, the 25th of May. I'm George Fuller, pastor at Wendell Christian Church. Glad to have you with us. We're continuing to look at devotional thoughts through the letter of First John. I'm actually going to read the same verses as last week because I wanted to kind of finish the thought. First John chapter 4, verses 17 to 19. Love, remember this is agape, the love of God, has been perfected among us in this, that we may have boldness on the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, agape, the love of God, but perfect love casts out fear. For fear has to do with punishment, and whoever fears has not been reached perfection in love. We love because he first loved us. So the origin of agape, the love of God, is God's self. It is God who brought all of creation into existence because of love, because it's the very nature of God to be this agape love. And it says that this agape love is perfected among us and that we have boldness on the day of judgment. And many people today think the day of judgment is only something in the future, but they lived in a reality where any day and basically every day was the day of judgment because they believed the world was being judged by the fact that the love of God had come in the form of Jesus Christ, and the love of God was judging and transforming the whole world. And every day they might be interrupted, violated by, confronted by the authorities who recognized that they were, as Christians, refusing to submit to the authorities of religion and the Roman Empire, and were being hauled off. These were the early days of it, hauled off into some form of persecution. Perhaps just simply losing your property, perhaps simply being taken on as a slave, perhaps thrown in prison, perhaps killed. They had all kinds of forms of the persecution. Maybe it would just be threat and beaten, as we see sometimes in the book of Acts. But what they're recognizing is that the reason they have boldness in however the judgment shows up is that they win, that the love of God wins, that the risen Christ will always win. And that winning, that confidence, that love that cannot be thwarted is the love in which they have lost fear. They have let go of their fears. In today's world, you'll see Christians who focus on defending their world and their rights with violence. And that's simply not Christian. It's not what the early church did. And the early church changed the Roman world, took over the Roman world, transformed the Roman world, but not with power and threats and violence. They did it with love, with agape, with the love of God. And I'm convinced that for me and for I believe all of us who sit still and imagine and let the Spirit of God lead us, what we really want is to be made perfect or mature or complete in love that doesn't fear. We're not afraid of God. We're not afraid of man. We're not afraid of the authorities, because all they can do is not everything. All they can do is partial. All they can do is temporary. And we are secure in eternity. We are secure at the deepest parts of our souls. And we become the expression of the love of God, of agape, that, as it says in verse 17, love has been perfected, fulfilled, matured among us, right in our relationships. So I like being with a few people this morning, with folks in my Christian fellowship, with other people in my family and extended family and friends who share the love of God with me and me with them, because we are secure. We will forgive one another as we need to forgive because we've been forgiven. We will love because we've been loved. And so we love, as verse 19 says, because he first loved us. So this morning, or whenever you're listening to this, if you find yourself being drawn to fear, turning on the television and being shown a commercial that says, you must do this, you must support this because of fear, I would invite you to pull back and let the love of God mature within your soul and discover what you might be called to do if you were not afraid. And if you did not follow people who were desperately afraid of losing control, losing power, losing wealth, and began to follow people who, like Jesus in Philippians 2, did not hold even equality with God, something to be grasped and be held on to, but he emptied himself and became the servant of all. That is the love that we trust, the one that loves us and has served us, the Jesus who washed feet and died on the cross. And if you think that's the end, then you're still afraid. But if we know and trust the resurrection, there's no fear. Even as we go through what they were going through in persecution, and even if as we go through what we are going through with the struggles of our world, we find security there, and we are matured, we are fulfilled, we grow up into this love of God. That's my hope for myself, for all the people I know and love. May it be so. Amen.